Good morning, rejects. I have had enough. I am done hiding my true personality and favoritism towards one of the greatest of the Imperium's heroes. The gall to even jest at the only truly respectable son of the Emperor just baffles me. Or at least one of the only ones still living. Rest in peace, Sanguinius and Ferrus Manus. Y'all will be missed. Roboute stands on that business. Guilliman is the primarch of the Ultramarines, and he's been long discredited and memed on as Papa Smurf, basically the poster boy for the Space Marine faction and everything. Well, I'm here today to tell you should repent on your sins. This video will serve as a very short summary of the Avenging Son and his absolute majesty, as he's probably one of my favorite primarchs. Many like to joke that Guilliman is pretty overrated, and that the only reason he's still alive is probably due to GW's plot armor and nothing along his own merits. Many also like to say that Guilliman is one of the weakest primarchs, and that he couldn't hold his own in a knockout, drag-out, primarch left-right goodnight primarch fight, which, okay, he's not the best martially wise, but he has one primarch power that everyone says that's the only thing he has, and that's being able to do his taxes. To this, I say, do you know how to do your taxes? No, okay? Putting your taxes into TurboTax is not doing your taxes. You should take them to like a certified income tax preparer or like a public accountant. Yeah, you're going to pay for it a little bit, but you're going to get more on your income taxes back, so, that's a win-win. Unlike almost every single primarch in the list, Guilliman has two privileges above the others. That being, 1, not being raised on a death world, and 2, having good adoptive parents. This allowed him to cultivate his true purpose as a primarch. That being, cosplaying the Roman Empire on a 40k scale. But actually what I meant was him fostering his ties to normal humans. He understood at a very early age that he was more than them and had like more of a, maybe not a divine purpose, but a more righteous purpose. And by the time the Emperor had come to collect him on the Great Crusade, Guilliman was already on that path. He understood and wanted to live up to his true father's dream of being like a shepherd to humanity and the guardians of the future, just like his other Primarch brothers should have been. If we take a look at them now, you can see how the other Primarchs turned out. Guilliman is what the other Primarchs should have been, unburdened by genetic flaws and loyal with every fiber of their being. Hell, when he got crowned with like a Slaneshi crown, he said, "Nah, get this shit off me. I'm not doing this for glory. I'm doing this for humanity." Ooh. Yeah, cream of the crop right there. He is one of the few Primarchs who wholeheartedly believe in the Emperor's dream for a galaxy for humanity. Like, that is his ideal. Also, unlike his other brothers, Guilliman doesn't have any innate Primarch powers, like Corvus Corax's perception disruption, or like Vulcan's perpetual immortality, or even Dorn's like mega warp resist. Instead, he was born with a highly analytical mind, able to form like theoretical questions with practical answers. Grim dark problems require grim dark solutions, as they say. But there is one trait that he holds far above any of his other brothers, loyalists and traitors included. That being his determination specifically, his ability to, no matter the odds, hold on to the Emperor's dream of a galaxy for humanity. The only character that I can really compare him to is actually Guts from Berserk. He never gives up and is always willing to do whatever he has to in order to preserve humanity's future, despite how bleak it can be. So, to prove to you why Guilliman should be at the top of the list, an absolute badass, here's some accomplishments and trials in no particular order. Hopefully by the end, I'll be able to change your mind about the Ultra Primarch of the Ultramarines. Ultra. Our first entry is the Battle of Calth, which had rocked the Ultramarine fleet, absolutely decimating the largest loyalist legion during the Horus Heresy. This was the moment when Lorgar got his revenge on Roboute for the razing of Monarchia, a planet that the Wordbearers had considered their crown jewel and was in full religious zeal to the Emperor. As we know, the man-emperor of mankind doesn't like being considered a god. That's pretty low on his list, so when they call him the god-emperor of mankind, that was kind of like bad spicy. You know, you got your good spicy, like the smoky spicy, but this was like pain. Like you had just ate a shit ton of wasabi with nothing else. You're just eating rubber tires at that point. The Battle of Kulf is an event that deserves its own video. I mean, there's so much to cover with that, but right now I'm only going to highlight a few of Guilliman's memorable moments. During the opening salvo from the word bearers, Guilliman, instead of reacting with his own hail of destruction, instead voxed the word bearers, believing that there was no way Astartes' brothers would turn on brother in bloody conflict. Some consider him naive, but at this point he didn't know about the Isfahan drop site massacre, and still had 100% faith in his brothers. After a few more of Guilliman's ships went down, he went into full commander mode, minimizing damage, saving lives, and returning as much fire as possible. His anger had been channeled into one singular person, and he would enact his revenge with stunning flair. Unfortunately for him, a demon was summoned aboard the ship he was on, and it entirely blew up the bridge command. This sent Guilliman hurtling into the vacuum of space without his helmet. For 10 hours, and with no oxygen, he battled against that, at the time, the unknown warp fuckery and the word bearers, desperately putting all of his energy into finding his sons and saving as many pockets of resistance as he could, proving that, despite the grim dark of everything, Guilliman is a good dad. Now, we all love Primarch fights. These moments in the lore are kind of like what we live for, and going based off of any like Primarch ranked video, especially on TikTok, you can definitely see it's like a really heated discussion as who would beat who and what, or what about this, you know? So it's very heated, but Guilliman has been in the most Primarch fights. Guilliman has thrown hands with more of his brothers than anyone else, and I'm not talking in a sparring match. This man is so ballsy, he got in a 2v1 fight with Lorgar and Angron, and he was still able to hold his own against Angron very briefly before being saved by his sons. Despite being exhausted from beating the ever-loving shit out of Lorgar, he was able to do some incredible damage on Angron as well. Unfortunately for our Blueberry King, he stepped on a skull belonging to the slaves of Nuceria. Those were like one of the Angron's beloved companions. This eventually leads to turning Angron into the demon Primarch we know of in the current lore. So with Guilliman badly wounded, the Ultramarines barely had time to save their liege father before escaping from the powers of the warp. In another Primarch fight, Guilliman and the Lion were desperately trying to find Conrad Kurz, Primarch of the Night Lords, who for a good hot minute was absolutely terrorizing the beginnings of Imperium Secundus on Guilliman's homeworld of Macragge. Kurz had been a non-stop terrorist, decimating the population and even the Ultramarine squads that were sent to stop him. The Lion, despite his best efforts, was unable to stop him, provoking the Primarch of the Dark Angels to seriously consider nuking the planet. Guilliman was enraged with this idea, and refused to believe that allowing innocents to die, especially from the ones who were supposed to be protecting them, was just an awful idea. His rage was once again building to a massive crescendo. Crescendo. I pronounced that real done good, yeah! However, the one thing that I want to talk about and absolutely highlight, and I honestly don't think it's talked about enough, is Guilliman, the absolute beauty and grace of Guilliman. That's right, Guilliman's adoptive mother steals the show here, showing the true indomitable human spirit in the face of overwhelming adversity. Tarasha Uten was surprised by the insane Night Lord Primarch, who was going out of his way to find Guilliman and probably do some pretty heinous shit to her. Despite it all, she refused to be intimidated by him. Before Kurz could flay the woman, Vulcan straight up tackled him through a wall. This just shows us where Guilliman gets his tenacity. Shout out to Guilliman. And also, the batshit crazy Vulcan. What a bro. Another huge fight that happened in current lore is when Guilliman and the demon Primarch Mortarion fought to the actual death in the Dark Imperium trilogy. Fighting against the corruption of Grandfather Nurgle, Guilliman, armed with the Emperor's sword, had been fighting to expel the Blight from the realms of Ultramar. It all built into this final moment where one of the worlds was quickly turning into a demon planet. After fighting his way through hordes of demons, Guilliman had decimated Greater Unclean Ones, giving them the true death with the Emperor's sword. Some even resorted to killing themselves as he approached that they would resurrect within the warp instead of, actually dying. Mortarion and all his gross, sticky, trash-eating, no-lip-having ass appeared before him, the massive demon Primarch taunting him as they both fought. Guilliman was able to prevent himself from dying, but it was clear from the get-go that even armed with the Emperor's sword, he didn't have the martial prowess to beat one of the sturdiest Primarchs. Enhanced by the powers of Nurgle, Mortarion had two huge advantages. One, of course, being sturdy, and the other being a nasty as hell poison called the God Blight, capable of even overwhelming the insane physiology of the Primarchs. Guilliman was racked with excruciating pain, turning his blood black, rotting his insides, and desiccating his body in front of his demon Primarch brother. Mortarion, helped by Grandfather Nurgle of course, had done it, killing the Returned King in the current setting. However, this counts as a 2v1. Once again, despite everything and the insane odds, Guilliman found himself in another bullshit situation. Now, his true father, fragmented and probably insane on the Golden Throne, said, "Whoa, time out. That's bullshit, ref." The Emperor, after 10,000 years, had awoken, briefly taking over Guilliman's body and using it as a conduit for his holy vengeance, burning the gardens of Nurgle and sending Mortarion running to the hills like the little bitch that he is. This brief possession by the Emperor returned the avenging son back to life, restoring his body to prime physical condition and definitely cementing the fact that the Emperor is probably a god. The final fight I want to talk about is what caused Roboute to be stuck inside the Armor of Fate. That's like the really dope armor that he wears during the current lore. After the Horus Heresy, when he fought his ascended demon brother Fulgrim, he stormed the corrupted Pride of the Emperor flagship. Fulgrim was able to fatally wound his brother by using a poisoned sword that built off of a wound that the traitor Wordbearer Corferon had dealt to the Ultramarine Primarch. This would lead him to be entombed in stasis till the current timeline. When he was woken up, without any caffeine that I might add, into a chaos incursion that was decimating the forces of Macragge and the realms of Ultramar. Without any hesitation, the returned Primarch broke the Black Legion forces within the sanctioned halls. That's a hard word for Elmo. And within days, he had fully restored peace to the capital planet, showing that hypothetically chaos is for bitches and practically that Guilliman is a stud. Now, despite being 0-6 in Primarch fights, Roboute Guilliman is the beacon of steadfast determination. None of his brothers can even come close to it. I mean, Dorn is stubborn, but he's just like, he's stoic. He's not determined like Guilliman. I don't even know how to say it other than that's determination. He's struggling. He's guts. Not only is he currently alone, well, at least in the current setting, he hasn't been reunited with Lionel Johnson yet, but he's also doing everything he can to restore the Imperium to the wonderful grace, or at least the ideal that it used to be in the 30K during the Great Crusade. Guilliman, like I said before, truly believes in the ideal of the Imperium. And he is absolutely disgusted by the beast that it is right now. It's like a nasty little beastie clinging to life. Still he fights, still he struggles, and still he will always be the Primarch who strives to create his father's ideal of a galaxy for humanity. Now in Primarch fights you can definitely say that he's on the weaker side of Primarch martial prowess, but none even come close to his tactical stratagems, able to formulate winning battle plans in minutes for entire sectors. Guilliman is single-handedly responsible for keeping the Imperium afloat during these dark times. As much as he hates the current Imperium, he's able to reliably hold off Xenos and heretics alike. Now, if we could just get the lion and him back together, the brain and the bronze would be working at maximum efficiency. Not to mention his ability to create like actual stable empires is one of the greatest in the galaxies, turning poorly managed worlds into thriving ecosystems respectfully. The last thing that I want to mention is how can you go around disrespecting the dad of these absolute units? Marnius Calgar, Malum Kaido, and of course it is I, Cato Sicarius. These guys are 100% cut from his cloth. Also, brief note, the memes are hilarious, but no, he doesn't want to fuck Yvraine. I mean, she's a knife ears and a Xenos, and that's just kind of disgusting. But she is kind of hot, though. Anyway, thanks for watching. Guilliman gets memed on a lot, but he genuinely is one of the most interesting Primarchs, and since we have so much mainstream lore of him, he's starting to really shine in the current setting. It's definitely got better over the last few years, but, you know, he's popping off. He's living the dream. A really, really awful nightmare dream. But he's getting there. If you made it this far, please leave a like and subscribe. As always, it helps out. If you like this style of like lore, let me know and comment what you want to see next.
Bye. Happy New Year.